Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're taking a look at the OnePlus 13T, a $470 compact smartphone in a sea full of almost 7-inch cell phones is super welcome, let me just tell you. And as we all know with compact smartphones, there's usually trade-offs, and I'm happy to report that these trade-offs are quite minimal. But just to keep you interested, the one most standout feature for me is this phone comes with a Snapdragon 8 Elite. So powerhouse in a small body, yes please. Let's jump into the specs and check it out. In a world of ever-growing smartphones, OnePlus seems to be going against the grain, and honestly, I'm all for it. The OnePlus 13T is a compact phone in a sea full of almost 7-inch devices. It's a 6.32-inch device coming at about 185 grams, wrapped in an aluminium frame with flat edges. It's quite iPhone-esque in its design, completely flat screen, flat side rails, and flat back. That's frosted, so no fingerprint grease. We have the usual volume rocker and power button on the right, and on the left an alert button, a shift away from the slider in past OnePlus phones. As I said, a little iPhone-esque. Even the interface to map this button looks almost identical to how Apple has it. The build quality is top-notch, and the phone has a nice weight so it doesn't feel cheap. The OnePlus 13 does fall short in the IP rating, only having IP65 dust and water resistance, a definite cost-saving measure. In the front, the OnePlus 13 is sporting a 6.32-inch 1.5K AMOLED display running at 120Hz refresh rate. That's Dolby Vision and HDR10 certified. The phone reaches 1600 nits in high brightness mode, which is not that high, but still very visible in direct sunlight. Because it's an OLED, colors do pop and you get really nice inky blacks when viewing content. As expected, content looks really great on the screen. Now, let's talk about what's under the hood, because this is where things get really interesting. The OnePlus 13T is packing some serious firepower, the Snapdragon 8 Elite. This phone absolutely flies through demanding tasks, graphically intensive games, and your everyday apps. We're talking buttery smooth multitasking, no lag in sight. I did notice that the 8 Elite is slightly downclocked, so it didn't manage the usual score these chips usually get in Antutu at around 2.6 million versus the 2.8 million I tested on the Vivo X200 Ultra. This comes down to thermal management, as this phone does not have the space to put in a huge vapor chamber to assist with its cooling. Pretty common. One thing is for sure, you will not be disappointed with this device's performance. RAM options are also good, with the base phone coming in at 12 gigs and with up to 16 gigs with the highest storage capacities. I have the 16 gig version with 512 gigs of RAM, and this phone has not had a hiccup in performance once. For the photography enthusiasts out there, the OnePlus's camera systems have been constantly improving, and the 13T looks to continue that trend. OnePlus has decided to ditch the ultra-wide in this phone and go with a zoom lens, so you get a 50 megapixel main sensor at f1.8 with a 1/1.56 sensor size with optical image stabilization, and a 50 megapixel 2x telephoto lens at 1/2.76 with unfortunately no optical image stabilization. So a much smaller sensor than the main ones. Pictures on the main sensor come out great and relatively sharp with good dynamic range. Portrait mode is also good with great edge detection. Videos are quite decent, recording up to 4K 60 with Dolby Vision support. That comes out very clear and stable, and in fact, I shot some of my B-roll of the Vivo X200 review I did. I have no complaints with this camera system. portrait video on the main sensor is downgraded to 1080p at 30 frames per second though, but it comes out quite nice and sharp. The pictures at night are not flagship level, and that's expected at this price point, but for what you get, it's really not that bad. And on the front, there's a 16 megapixel f2.4 sensor with no autofocus. This is where OnePlus skimped a little to save some money, as the sensor is really just okay. And on the video recording, it's just 1080p. I'm not sure why, as this phone is capable of shooting 4K on the front, especially with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Clarity unfortunately does take a knock in video recording, and it's such a shame because this camera system was near perfect at this price point. Now, a smaller phone doesn't necessarily mean a smaller battery anymore. The OnePlus 13T is shipped with a substantial 6260 mAh silicon carbide battery, which is quite impressive for a phone this size. Coupled with OnePlus's notoriously fast charging, you get 80-watt wired charging too, so when you need to top up, you can expect a full charge in under an hour. Battery life has been good, easily getting over a day of use, so I'm really happy OnePlus didn't cost save here. The USB port is however only 2.0, so transferring files from your computer will be a little bit slow, but OnePlus overcomes this with their desktop software that shares files wirelessly to your computer at respectable speeds. Software-wise, you get ColorOS running on Android 15. It's a clean, minimal OS with buttery smooth OS elements that come with some AI features too. To mention here, the OnePlus 13T is a China-only device, so there is some Chinese sprinkled throughout the UI. But other than that, I'm pleased to report installing Google Apps is a breeze. It's not as easy as the Vivos that I've tested, but it works. All you need to do is download the Play Store APK, install your Google Apps as per usual, tap to pay, and Android Auto do work here with no issues. So that's a great thing if you're looking to import this phone. I must admit here, ColorOS does feel very similar to Apple OS, which is not a bad thing at all. I don't care if OnePlus ripped the look off, I like the iPhone's interface. But when a company does that, it kind of loses their individuality that sets them apart. I guess their stance is trying to appeal to the Western market by making it easier to switch to because it feels very familiar to Apple users. The OnePlus 13T is shaping up to be a seriously compelling smartphone, especially if you're someone who values a more compact form factor without compromising on flagship level performance and features. With, of course, a slight compromise in the camera department, you get a powerful chipset, a great display, a versatile camera system, a surprisingly good battery life for the small body. Yes, there is one or two downsides, and the fact that it's a China-only device is one of them. India, though, is getting this device, but it will be called the 13R. I'm not sure why they cannot make this phone global. Such a pity. And that is a wrap on the OnePlus 13T. Let me know your thoughts down below about this phone and if you think it is worth it. Let's put this in perspective quickly. The Samsung A56 is almost the same price as this. Which one would you pick? I for one would rather pick the one that has the Snapdragon 8 Elite in it. So, you know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.